Hi, I'm Wendy. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be painting this little fairy on a stack of books. Really easy. I'm only going to be using our primary colors in Liquitex Basics. So you have yellow, blue, red, and black and white. Always add the black and white. That's for just changing it up. And then we also have a 1-inch flat, a 1/2-inch flat, and a small round brush. Grab a rag or a paper towel, a cup of water, and the canvas size I'm using is 8x10, but you could use any rectangle size. You can even use paper. Now, if you choose to use paper, just make sure you prep it according to painting on paper, and you can search that in my videos. Let's go ahead and paint. Make sure you're not just watching. I want you to actually get your supplies ready and paint with me. That's the whole reason I make the videos, is so that you actually paint along with me. And I know you can do it. I know it seems like, maybe I'll just see how it goes and maybe I'll do it one day. Just paint. Make time to do it and paint along. All right, we're going to get started with our 1-inch flat brush, putting it in the water. I'm using that 8x10 wrap canvas, primary colors plus black and white in Liquitex Basics. And then I also want you to have a 1/2-inch flat brush and a small round brush, or anything similar. Doesn't have to be exact. We're going to wet the canvas first with our large 1-inch flat brush, and we'll just do little X strokes. But you could also kind of rub and scrub. We're going to play with a just really abstract background. My brush was a little dirty. That's okay. My background color is going to be a little dirty, so you could see a little bit of old paint on there. I didn't do a good job cleaning them last time. Oh, it's okay though. See, these are the little things that make all of the little things that go into your painting, even the little accidents, the happy accidents is what Bob Ross would call them, are what go into your painting, and embrace those things, whatever they are that day. So let's go ahead and make we're going to make like a mushroom color. So a fun way to do that is you have purple, so red and blue. And so see how that looks purple, and then add a little bit of yellow to it. Maybe a little more red. But this is going to give you a fun mushroomy color, and then a lot of white. I want it to be light background. And if you want it to look a little warmer, just use more red and maybe a little more yellow, and it'll warm it up a little bit. Make it a little more earthy. But if you want it cooler, just stick with like that purple with a touch of yellow, and it will give you a kind of grayish mushroomy color. And I do that around the edges. It's fun to work with these colors where you're mixing different ratios of your primaries to get these earthy shades. Let's see how I'm going around the edges, the bottom. And then maybe I make more of a peach color to fill in the gaps. So see, I put that around the edges. So it's a little bit darker, earthier color. And then maybe my peach, and I'm not going to clean my brush so that it all kind of flows, is going to be more of a red and yellow. I might go heavy on the red so it's kind of pinkish, more of a pinkish undertone. But you could do more of an orangish I mean, it's like whatever you want, whatever looks pretty to you. But then still a lot of white, because I want it lighter in the center. And then we'll go in and fill in the gaps. More white. Maybe I want it even more pinkish, so then again, more red and less yellow. It'll give you more of a pink flavor. So maybe change your shades a little bit as you go. Notice how, I made that with more yellow, and then I added more red, and then I can just brush that in, and then you get all this variety. And I'm brushing it right into that mushroomy color. Let it go into that color and blend in a bit. So anywhere where you need to fill in the gaps, like there's a gap in the canvas or there's not paint put on, put it in. This is like a unique, fun color. So a lot of times, you could just stick with a light blue or light pink, or you could just stick with a primary mixed with white to keep it even more simple. But if you want to make a little more of an interesting background color, then using different ratios of all the primaries together, making these earthy shades, can give you some fun things to play with. And the possibilities are really endless, really limitless. So much fun. But now we have this, in my opinion, it's like a fun, interesting color. It's light, but it's not pure white. So we have something fun to work with. Now, if you want, just for the sake of the ease of layering, you can blow dry your canvas to make the process go quicker. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, now my background is pretty dry. And what I can do is just come in. I'm going to use the big brush still. So I want to make sure it's nice and clean. Just push it to the bottom of the cup and swirl it around. Then you want to make sure to dry it off as well so it doesn't drip all over. Oh, actually, I just dripped it. Well, you can see what happens. So you're watching me make a lot of mistakes today. And I'm not editing these things out because I want you to see it didn't really mess with it that much, but it, these things happen. Sometimes you drip, especially when you're laying your canvas flat and working over it like this. I'm doing this for the sake of the camera. But usually you want to make sure you're cleaning your brushes and doing all this stuff like away from your painting so that things like that don't happen. Now, what I'm going to do is create the base coat for where we're going to put our books, because I'm going to make a little book stack. And you want to make your books different colors. So maybe the first color book I do is like a blue. So let's do blue. And I want it to be kind of a dark blue. So I'll do blue with a bit of red to make the blue look a little darker. So I'll add red until it stops, if it starts to look too purple, because that's what will happen if you add too much red, then I'll put a little more blue back in and then leave it at that. I want it to still look blue, but dark. And then I'm going to make a horizontal block, like a rectangle, and leave at least a few inches on either side. And I'm going to go up maybe like a few inches from the bottom as well. And we're just going to go like this. And you don't want your book to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too thin. So about an inch is somewhere around there is good. All right, so we've got our first color for our book. And then we're going to add some more. And they can be a little bit of a different sizes. And maybe this one, maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger so that it's kind of like Jenga, or not Jenga, but Legos, You don't want the smallest Lego on the bottom. All right. And I'm going to clean the brush because I'm going to do different colors. Now maybe we'll do like a pink book. So let's do that. Red, a bit of white. I'm going to make like a medium pink, so I'm not doing too much white. And then we'll do that one. And then maybe it's a little off centered. So maybe this one's stacked, but it's pulling a little off to the right. Just a little bit. And then we can do orange. So orange would be easy to move from here. So we just add some yellow to it. And then make sure you add enough so that it looks different enough. So I'm gonna make sure I'm adding a lot of yellow. I'm gonna go with like a light orange so that it's really different from the pink. If you just add a tiny bit of yellow, it's not gonna look that different from the pink. So you might not, and maybe just a touch of white, because those light yellow kind of colors can be kind of transparent. So that'll help make it look a little brighter. And then we'll do another one of this, and then maybe this one's like here. And maybe this one's a little thicker, so you can make it a little thicker and maybe a little like shorter. And then we can also do a book. Let's make a book kind of a color that would be like the inside of a book. So we'll do like a really light, almost white beige or like ivory color for that, so that it will look like the pages of a book. So that would be basically like your peach with a lot of white. So if you have that yellow color but add a bunch of white to it, you're looking at something kind of like that. If you want to make it a little more earthy, you could add a tiny bit of blue to it, but see how fast you got to get that orange back in there. See how fast it kind of takes over. So be careful. We want that ivory kind of color. Again, it's a lot of white, maybe just a touch of yellow and red and a smidge of blue. And then this one could be like maybe the book, you're seeing it from another angle. Like you're not seeing just the back of the book or I forget what that's called, the spine of the book. I think that's what it's called. You're seeing the book like where these are the pages of the book, and then we're gonna draw a border with a color. We'll do green. So that's the book, and then we're gonna use the small round brush to do green. And I'm using mostly blue with a little bit of yellow and a touch of white. And it's gonna give us a good green color. And then I'm going to go ahead and go, let's say the spine of the book is over here. So I'm going to have the open pages on the left. So I'm just going to outline the book on the top. And then go around the right edge because that's the actual back of the book. And then you're going to paint the bottom. There, now I have that book. And then we'll do one more that's like, let's do a purple. And I'm going to do it with we'll do it with the medium brush. And we'll make this one just a little thinner for fun. And then the purple is going to be red and blue. And I'm doing heavy on the red with a touch of white for my purple color. And you can kind of customize the thickness. Maybe I'll do it a little bit less than an inch. That way they're not, again, you don't want them all to be the exact same thickness. They can be, but it might look interesting if you made them a little different. All right. Now we have the books. Now we can add some shading beneath the books with, I'm going to use the purple with a little bit of water mixed in. And then I'm going to go to the underside of the book here. So just make sure you're under the book. And I'm going to go right underneath and put some of that purple under the blue book. And again, I put water in the purple that I did for the book on the top. And then I'm just wiggling it down underneath. And notice how as I run out of paint, it kind of makes it less thick and like less dark. But that's kind of what I want. So now we have a little bit of a shadow under there, which is good. And you can always add more if you need to make it darker. But I'm really going with subtlety here. I don't want it to be too crazy. No, you can do a lot of things from this point. We're going to put some flowers on it. You could put like a thing, like something on it. I'm going to put a little fairy sitting on it, but I'm going to make it really simple because, again, I want these videos to be really approachable for anybody, even if you haven't picked up a paintbrush. So you can make it more complicated, but I'm going to make it really simple. Now, the simplest way to paint something like a fairy is to just do a silhouette. So if you're making it all complicated, that could be kind of intimidating. So we're going to have them sitting facing away from us, so you don't have to draw a face or anything like that. We're just going to draw the back of the fairy, and I'm going to do it with kind of a blue-gray color. I'm going to do blue, the tiny bit of black. And we're going to go ahead and make the shape of the fairy. So the first thing I'm going to do is make their back, which is going to be almost like just the top of an egg kind of thing. And then you can do a little V shape coming out of it. Like that. And then we could have just like that. And then right from the top, I'm going to pull down 2 lines that come down to the top of the book, like that. And you want these lines to be thicker at the top and then thinner as you come down. And then right from the middle of that, try to make a line through the center of the shape and pull up. And right there is where you're going to have the neck. Now you want to thicken it up gradually from the base. And then the head's just going to be like an oval, and we'll make them have a little bun. Make the oval small at first, and then you'll know, like, okay, does it look weird? Gradually make it a little bigger until it looks approximately right. And then you can put a little circle on top for a bun. And then we'll have the wings coming out of the back. And they're just going to go up like this. Maybe we'll have them go up and out. You can really play with the wings however you want to see them. They could be like more like butterfly wings. So I'm going to pull them up. And then they're going to pull down and then back in. And maybe have like a little thing here. And a little thing down here. You can really decorate it however you want. And I'm keeping it really loose and abstract so that it's not too intimidating. And again, the shape is really kind of wonky almost, so don't feel intimidated by that. And you can even pull the wings like more, make the wings a little bit more intense here so that they kind of blend in with the back if you feel like the shape got weird. And I'll show you how I could adjust the shape too. So don't stress about it. Now we might want to add some flowers too, which could look pretty. So what I suggest is to just choose a favorite flower. So for me, I'm just going to do some white daisies. I'm going to take white on the small brush, nice and clean. And over here, I could just make some little oval shapes that go in a ring. Like that. And then maybe I can do a couple that are smaller. And then you can put the center with white and yellow. So that's fun. And then you can add some foliage to it. So maybe you go back into your green, but maybe change it a little bit from the book color. So the book color is more of like a medium to dark green. Add some more yellow and white to it to make it a little lighter. And then you can do some little leaves. They're just like little surfboards. You can have some little swirls, like maybe like little vines coming out or something. And however many little leaves you want to put. It's fun. Now, a couple of fun things we could do to the books is add some more shades to make it have some more texture and just have some more dimension. So let's start at the bottom, and I'm just going to go to the color of the book that I painted at the bottom, and I'm going to use the small round brush. And I'm using that first shade of blue that I used, which was blue with a little bit of red, and then add some white to it to create a highlight color. So it's like lighter than the first shade. And then all you need to do is just go to the top of the book and brush in that lighter color. Maybe pull it down the edge a little bit and just streak it through so that now it's got more than one shade. And then you can even take some more white and do a little bit more, like a little bit of a wiggle through the middle. Now, if it gets too crazy and you don't like it, come back to your blue and fine tune. So maybe you have that blue and red color again, the one that you started with, and you can brush over some of the highlights if they get too bright or you don't like the shape of it or whatever. And that way you can go back and forth and adjust it. But you definitely want to see more than one shade. Maybe you can even do some little vertical pulls to make it look like little ridges or something on there, or however you want to play around. And you can even put some little things, like some books have interesting little things like little dots or so. Maybe I take some green and I can put some little green marks on the thing, or you can have some little stripes on the book. Maybe this one will be stripes. You can do like maybe 3 stripes on each side. And then you could have something written on it. Like maybe I have just the white on the small brush, and I can write love on there. And then you can maybe put a little pink heart too. So you can decorate this however you want. I'm just giving you some ideas. It could say any words you want. It could say faith, trust, pixie dust. It'd be very Peter Pan. Or you could just put nothing. You can just put flowers. You could put hearts, stripes, dots, whatever. You know, it's your thing. But it's kind of fun to add this stuff to it. Now, maybe for this one, we do some lighter shade of pink. Since the book is pink to begin with, we'll do a little bit of a lighter shade. And then come in and again, add a little bit of highlighting. Maybe we add some vertical stripes on the edges. Maybe we add a darker shade of pink to tone that down if we don't like the first shade or whatever. Kind of play with a few different shades. Make sure you see more than one on the book. And then maybe with this one, maybe I just put some white hearts. Maybe it goes this way though. I don't know. That looks kind of cute. You can do whatever you want though. Maybe that's not your thing. And then for the yellowish one, again, add some more yellow and white to the color. That like light orange one. So I have more yellow and white. And then that's going to show up as a highlight color on the sort of towards the top or the edges. Again, you could always go back to the darker shade to tone the highlight down and blend it out a bit if that needs to happen. And then let's do something blue on that. We'll do some light blue little flowers on this one. Make sure you have a decent amount of white mixed in. That's kind of fun. And then for the book that's open, we can do that mushroomy color. So remember, the mushroomy color that we did in the beginning was purple with a bit of yellow and a lot of white. So that's gonna, and I don't want to make it as light as the background, but I do want it a little bit light. And then this is going to be what we use to make our pages. So I can just go in between this book and make some horizontal, really soft horizontal lines to give the feeling that there's pages. And again, these lines are really thin and they don't even have to like run all the way through. You're just trying to create some texture. And if it gets too crazy, like those little dark lines get too crazy, come in with some pure white and do some with the white. So you can go back and just maybe tone those down or brighten up the other space with the white. So again, with most things, I say a minimum of 3 shades is going to be ideal for getting your colors to look the way you want. And maybe there's a little bit of a shadow under the lip of the book here. So you want to make sure you have some of that mushroomy color towards the top of the pages. And you should see some little lines, like little stripes. It's just going to give you the sensation that like, oh, that's the book pages. Usually there's a little bit of texture in there when you're looking at a book that way. And then for the purple, you're just taking your purple for the top book. Again, where it's like red and blue, and then put a little extra white in there. And then we'll put a highlight towards the top here. Maybe not right under the fairy, like maybe a little bit below. Maybe she's casting a little bit of a shadow on the book, so it doesn't have to be too crazy there. And then maybe this book gets some, we'll do, I'm trying to think of a good color to go with the purple. Let's do some yellow dots. Or even these like orangey kind of yellow dots. And then we'll put some dots. And then you have that little pattern on that book. And then for the flowers here, we can make some more interesting shades. So with that same color that we put on the book, maybe it's like an orangey, add a little extra red to it. Make sure it looks like orange. We want orange here. And then you can put that on the underside of the centers of your little white daisies. Maybe even have some pink on the brush. So pink is going to actually be a good, or peach could be a really good sort of shadow color for your daisies. You don't want it to just be plain white though, because then it's going to not look very interesting. I'm going to clean my brush because it's getting a little crazy. I want a really light shade of pink or peach, whatever you want. Could be either. And then go to the middle and pull out into the petals just a bit. And then for the fairy itself, we want to paint those wings. And I want the wings to have like a teal color. So if you do a little bit of blue with a touch of yellow and a lot of white, that's going to give you a teal blue. And then we can color the wings in. Loosely. I'm keeping it so loose. Now, another thing you can do if you don't like the shape of your fairy is you can take your mushroom color. So remember, it's purple, red and blue, plus a little bit of yellow and a lot of white. That's what we did in the background for the beginning. And then make sure there's a lot of white. You want to get something similar to what we did here. I kind of had a little extra red in that space. It was a little more pinkish right there. But we kind of blended it all together up there. Try to get something similar. And then you can paint around the black. So sometimes just painting, maybe I want to make her waist, this part look a little smaller, the arms kind of be a little bit thinner there, just because, you know, fairies are pretty small. Maybe their head got a little big or the wings got a little funky, too funky. Then just paint around the shape. And you can always add the black back too. So don't feel like, oh, I can't go back in and adjust it. You totally can. Now, a couple of things we can do as we wrap it up, because again, I always try to keep it pretty short and sweet, is we can make some more contrast to the leaves. So you want to do some dark green, add more blue to your green to make it darker, or even add a little bit of black to your green. And then you can go in and add to the foliage around your daisies. So you can kind of outline them. You can put little lines, or you can just put a little layer of dark around the edge of the light layer. So whatever feels fun for you. Maybe you want to use some of that dark green on the bottom of the green book. And then again, you can come into like an even lighter shade of green with more white and do another layer. So get as many like shades as you want. Again, 3 is what I think is the bare bones minimum. And then above that is going to just look more and more interesting. So it's good to have a little more if you can manage to get more than 3, but do not do less than 3, else it will look really sad. Now to highlight the fairy, you can do like a light blue, light pink, or just add white to your blue and black color that you made the fairy. So we originally made her that color. And you can just put a little bit of highlighting around the shape or around the edges of the shape so that it's not just such a solid dark color. You can even do some like white highlights to the top of the wings. So if I just dip the brush in white and go to the top of the wings and just did it very, almost like a broken line. And I'm just going right over the dark edges and giving like little dotted lines. Or just a very subtle highlight. And I can even put just some dots inside the wings with the white. Makes it look kind of fun. Magical-ish. I'm just putting some dots on her back. And just sort of around the fairy, maybe trailing onto the book a little bit. Just gives it a little whimsical kind of vibe. And then you can put another layer of like pure white or almost pure white on the daisies to just make sure that the color pops. It's like you got your fairy, you got your books, you got your shadows down below. Again, you can use the background color to touch anything up. Like maybe you want to paint over stuff that got weird. You know, the sky is the limit. You can add some touches of pink in some places. Like maybe I add some just pink and put that down below in the shadow here. So if that shadow got too blocky, which I know that happens to a lot of people, you can just brush like a softer color over it to soften it into the background so it doesn't feel so awkward and harsh. So I'm just giving you little tips of how you can adjust the color and make things look a little bit more soft and flowy. And then I'm just gonna let it go. There you go. We're keeping it really simple. So you have a little fairy, some flowers, and a sack of books. You can put whatever you want on the books. They can be whatever colors you want. You can change the background color. You can change the flower colors. Everything is adjustable. So I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment. Let me know what other fun things you like to paint. I might do another one sort of like this that's a little more complicated, but I want to start with something really, really simple. And the only thing that's really time consuming about these kinds of paintings is that you have all these little details on the books. So that takes a lot of time. And then if you make a little figure, that can take a little bit of time too. So thanks for taking a little extra time today, and thanks for watching.